Hello everyone and welcome in a new video. Thank you for following my channel. What we will do in this video, we'll just discover some module about Docker to collect many informations with Docker, for example networks or containers or volumes. Very useful modules. If you want, you can subscribe to my channel to not miss the next video. Some modules, for example, we have Docker container info module, Docker image, Docker network, volume, host, node, swarm. We'll just use it in a practical exercise in next video. Today we just use it in a simple example. Let's get started. First, what we have our inventory with two virtual machine. We are on it with a background user. If I check with Docker PS, we have no container. And if we go in our playbook, we just have one task to install Python 3 Docker library, and we just remove it and we run our playbook on all hosts. And now what we want to do, we want to create just a tips to create many container when you want to create for example, we want to create 5 container. And to do it, what we do, we use with sequence to create a loop to create many containers. Let's get started. We use Docker container to create and run a container. We want to prefix our container with n value, n character, and we use item. Item takes just the count number in our loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we use the image, the engine's image, and we want to start it. So I save it and I go into my directory, and this is in where I am. We are into yes, playground, and we are into test answer. Okay, so let's go. We just want to run our playbook. To do it, I just run Ansible playbook command line with -i option for our inventory. We want to use the background user. We just want to add our password, SSH password, and we run our playbook. The password for SSH, and we run it. Let's go. Ansible check if we have our Docker library and do an update that take a few seconds. And now Ansible run our containers. We want to have 5 containers, and Ansible download and Docker download the engine's image. That take a few seconds, and run on all servers. We have 2 servers, and we run item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on each server. If we check with Docker PS on one of these servers, we have our container named N1, N2, 3, 4, 5. Right. And now a new example. We want to collect some information about a container. To do it, we can use this task with a new module, Docker host info module. And with this module, we can collect many information about all what we run on our virtual server with Docker, with our Docker engine. So we use Docker info. We want to collect information about containers. We set it to true. And we want to register all information in a new variable named Docker info. And after it, what we want to do, we want to remove all this server. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And to do it, we want to reuse our Docker info variable with Docker container module, like in previous video. And to do it, we use Docker info containers. We iterate on this with the loop clause, and to remove each container, what we do, we use item for each container, and we want to get the name of each container. And because this is a list, we want to use only the first iteration about the name, and we just want to remove the slash, because when we want to collect the name, when we want to use the name, Docker add a slash at the end of this variable. We want to remove it, and to do it, we just remove not at the end, at the start, about at the beginning of the name, and we remove it with regex replace filter. So I save it, and now we can run it again. Okay. And now Ansible remove all container. Here you can see it. We have a change on this container ID with the name, with the image engines, and the entry point, many things about it, and the names with a slash and 5 on each server, okay, and 4 on each server, etc. So we can check it with Docker PS, and all containers are removed on our target servers. Maybe if you want, you can do it for specific containers. For example, we can filter it on the image, and to do it we can add a when on our task, but we don't do it. And another example, how to collect the IP of our container. By default, when you want to do it, you can run a docker inspect on a specific container name, for example C1, and we want to do it here, and just remove all, yes, and to do it what we do, we create the first task to create a container with Docker container module. We set the name of our container to C1. We want to run it with an Nginx image. We want to start the container, and we collect information about our container in Docker in a container info variable. And to see the IP of our container, what we do, we use container info, and in container info variable, this is a dictionary, a Python dictionary, and if we want, we go into Ansible facts about this variable, and Docker container information, and after it, we want to collect the network settings, and we want to collect the IP address. Okay, so I save it. We can run it again. And I set the password. And what we have, oh no, this is not defined. Why? Can check again. Oh, undefined variable. Maybe this is the wrong path of this variable. I can check to debug it. We just print our variable. And we can see all elements into our variable. This is Docker container. This is container info variable, and in it we want container. So I can add it here, container. So I save it and I run it again to filter our variable. And now we want network settings. Yes, yes, network settings. So we can add it here. This is very simple and iterative task, but we need to do it. This is a better way to find what we want to have. And in network settings, we want networks. Okay, networks. And in networks, we want to have a bridge information, and we want to have IP address. Okay, so I save it, I run it again, and now I think it's good. Yes, we have we have the container IP on each server. We have the IP set to 172.17.0.2. Another example to use some information about Docker, and if you want, you can to collect the IP address for your container, and we can test it. And to test it, we can use the URL module. We saw this module in the previous video, and we can use this variable. And to do it, we use a Jinja with curly brackets, 2 curly brackets, and we want to check if we have a status code to 200. We run it again. And what do Ansible in test task? Ansible just do a curl and slash root on this IP 172.17.0.2 and check if we have a response to 200. Another example, what we can do. Yes, we can do it. Maybe, yes, I think it's okay. Docker container, network settings, networks, bridge, IP address. Yes, it's okay. What we want to do, we want to do the same things on many container. For example, what we do, we create with a sequence, we create 5 Nginx container. We collect information about each container to get the IP. We run Docker container info to collect some information about our containers. In this task, we just collect Docker host information. And what we do, we run a debug with items on our container info variable, and the result of it, because we get it in this register, and we run in a message, and we print in this message for each container the IP address. So I save it, and we can, I don't know, I can check docker ps. We can remove this container C1, and we want to run again this vagrant. Okay, and we create each container for each target server. You can see we have 2 target server for each container, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if we check, we have a message for each container, and we have a big message because in this output Ansible just print to us the container info variable and print only the message at the end of this output in the message. And in this case we have 172.17.2 for the container named C1. No. Yes, and we have another container N1 with a new IP 17.2.17.0.3, and if we check, we have the container named N2 with a new IP .4 and N3 with .5. Right, and that's all for this Docker container info. If you want, you can use Docker network info module, and to do it, we just remove many lines, and we want to create a network named Xavkey. And we want to collect some information about this network, and to collect it we use Docker network info with the name of our network. This is a Xavkey name, and we want to register it in a new register to create a new variable named network info. I prefer to prefix our variable with double underscore, and we can debug it in a debug task. So we can run it to check if that works. And it's okay. We can check it for each target server. We have all information about our new network. We have the name of our network. Where is it? Yes, here. We have the name of our network. And we can find the IP range /24 on 172.13.12.0, for example, the gateway and the subnet. And on another server, we have the same information. And if you want, you can do the same thing with Docker volume. So I remove all lines. And I want to create a directory, a specific directory in /tmp/data. And I want to create a specific volume named xavkey/data and mount /tmp/data into it. I collect information about this volume named xavkey in a new variable with a register. This is my new variable named volume info, and I want to print this variable. So I run it again, and we can check what we have. We have now some information about our module. I can run it again. Change files. Oh, this is not the good volume name. Okay, so we can run it again. And we can check we have the information about our volume. For example, we have the name, xavkey _data, and we have some options about our new volume. And that's all. I think that's all for today. Thank you for following this video. You can subscribe to my channel to not miss the next video. And I say to you goodbye. Bye.